YouTube family. What is up, everyone? This is the original Grown Bee, and today I'm going to be talking to you about maximizing the benefits of having a healer in one of your PvP groups. I'm focusing mostly on Battlegrounds, however, these tips are going to be able to translate to other PvP content as well. Because I don't give mechanical tips. And when I say mechanical tips, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what traits, what enchantments, what weapons, what armor, what skill trees to go down and all those different things. Because at the end of the day, an update or a patch or a new DLC can totally change how all of those different elements work. And I would have pretty much wasted my time and your time teaching you things that are specifically linked to those different mechanics of the game. I like to teach you how to think about the game and how to approach certain situations. That way, no matter what update or what DLC comes out, you are still able to apply the same logic to really any situation and still be able to be successful. So when I first started getting back on this game about 6 months ago, I decided to take my Templar and basically transform him into a full-time healer. So all of these tips are going to be relative to someone who is doing healing full-time, not someone who is splitting their time between trying to do a little bit of damage and then trying to go ahead and give you 100 and 150k heals. These are going to be guys that can on a consistent basis push 500 to 600k heals, and if you listen to some of these tips, these guys are going to be able to push 800 to 1.1, 1.2 million heals in good matches. So my first tip is you're going to have to do some preliminary research on what healers like to do. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go to some ESO site and pick apart the different classes and the different races and skill trees to figure out what's the best meta. Sometimes it's just about asking healers that you come across, hey, what are you going to be trying to do in this particular match so I can put myself in a position for you to be able to successfully heal me. And just paying attention and being aware of your surroundings. I used to run the Earth Gore monster set, and this big pool of blood would rain down on one of my teammates and heal them for, so much health over a certain period of time. But if you didn't know what that thing was doing, then like a lot of people, they'd roll out of it or run out of it under the assumption that it's some sort of damaging attack, and they lose all of those benefits and could likely be hurt in the process by the very thing that I was attempting to save them from. And so it's just things like that, being able to understand what it is that a healer in your group is going to be trying to do. And like I said, it's not about going through books and articles about this different stuff. Just talk to these people when you interact with them. That's going to be your best way to do some of that preliminary research. So my next tip is stay grouped together. For the most part, this is something that is going to benefit you regardless of if you have a healer or not. If you're off doing something on your own and you're nowhere near the rest of your team, chances are you're going to be doing something that is not going to allow you to be very successful. And so, with that being said, the most important thing about that when dealing with a healer is the closer you are to your other teammates, the easier it is for your healer to be able to heal you all at the same time and be able to maximize their resources in the process. Two good rules of thumb are if you have to move your camera 90 degrees in order to see a teammate, you're not close enough to the group, or if you're not getting healed, you're not close enough to the group. Because you got to understand that when you're a full-time healer, you're constantly throwing out heals. If you're looking at your health bar and it's not gradually in some way increasing or at least staying steady if you're in the midst of combat, it's because you're too far away and you're out of the range of those heals. So my next tip is about pacing and patience, because people are always so thirsty to go out and try to grab the next objective or go get the next kill that a lot of times they put themselves at a disadvantage. You want to be able to fight on your own terms, not your enemy's terms. And so a healer can actually create a great environment for you to be able to fight at an advantage if you just allow them to do that. So instead of trying to rush out and get the next kill, maybe wait for the enemy to come to you. Or if you just captured an objective, defend it for a little while. Spend a minute or so, allowing your healer or your support or whatever to put down a healing area effect, to throw up some damage shields, to put you in a position where you can still score or maybe hold a lead instead of trying to run to a next objective and allow the enemy to take what you already spent resources and time capturing in the first place. Because ultimately, your healer is not going to be able to spend so much time running all over the map because they probably don't have a lot of stamina. And so if you get caught in the in-between, maybe going from one flag to another, if they get rooted or stunned or whatever, guess what? That's probably the end of your healer for that particular spawn. With that being said, try to move as a unit as well. If you're not mic'd up, I know sometimes it's tough, but you can position yourself in a way where people can kind of tell where you're thinking about going. And as long as y'all move together, your healer could still put himself in a position where you can still get what you need and the resources that you need while moving from place to place. So these last two tips actually tie together really well. If the healer is doing their job, you gotta do yours. You gotta find a way to push enough damage to start getting some of these other guys off the stage and get some scoring on the board, because at the end of the day, the healer is not going to be able to heal forever. Eventually, they're gonna get targeted or different teammates will start getting picked off. So you got to be able to put points on the board. That gives the healer an opportunity to go ahead and start replenishing resources, or go ahead and throw out shards or an orb or something so you can replenish yours. But if you're in a constant state of fighting and all your healer is trying to heal you through it, you're really not going to be very successful. And so at the end of the day, it's really important that if you get a good healer on your team that is keeping everybody alive, make sure that you're maximizing the different skills and stuff that you're using, working together with other guys who are running DPS to start getting guys back in their spawn so that you can basically recover from everything that's been going on for the last couple of minutes. That's one of the things that was an issue in this game. I was pushing a lot of healing to my teammates, but ultimately they just weren't going out and getting kills. And so a lot of what I was doing wasn't necessarily reflecting on the scoreboard in terms of the team's overall success, even though I ultimately did end up pushing, I think, 1.2 million or something like that heals. It didn't amount to any actual success. Even though I'm healing, I'm giving them additional resistances, I'm running SPC, so they're getting extra spell damage and weapon damage. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to say, all right, how are we going to use this together so that we can actually start putting some kills on the board. So my last tip is, if your healer is good, he or she is going to do everything that they can to support you for the duration of the match. You have to give them that same support. Obviously, a good team is going to do what they're supposed to do. They're going to target the healer. They're going to try to do whatever it takes to get that healer off of the stage so they can actually go out and get kills. But as a team member who supports the support, you have to be able to say, okay, there's going to be consequences for you ignoring me. You're not going to be able to completely disregard me. I'm going to be able to do so much damage, or I'm going to be able to do something to where it does not benefit you to completely disregard me as a damage dealer or whatever your role is. And so there's just been so many times where I'm standing next to a teammate and I'm throwing out heals while two of the enemy are jabbing me to death. And my teammate just simply does not bother to look over and stun or root or ferocious leap or heavy attack or anything to say, you know what, you're not going to do that to my healer because he's healing me. And it's just little things like that that will ultimately put you in a position where your teammate, your healer, is going to be able to do that much more for you. With that being said, if you like the video, like it. If you think someone else might like it, share it. And if you want to see more, I really hope that you would subscribe.